Hello friends, if you're new, welcome to my channel. Why don't you go down, hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss any content. For my fans and subscribers, welcome back. I really do appreciate you. Today I will be talking about millennialism in Colonial Connecticut. This is in connection to the Connecticut witch trials. Let's go! It didn't take long for the panic to spread to New England in the late 1640s, starting in Springfield, Massachusetts in 1645. However, some criticized this as being 3 to 4 years too early. We do know that the night before the English Civil War broke out, 2 preachers in Windsor, Connecticut suggested the devil was there. One of these preachers, John Eliot, proposed that the reason for this was the imminent millennial reign of Christ, because Christians think things are going to get worse before they get better, and, signs of the times and all that. And this has been happening for 2,000 years. Eliot wrote that all those in positions of authority, secular and parochial, should act in accordance with and take their orders from the Bible in preparation for this event. He also wrote to Oliver Cromwell, reminding him that he could put the English government in the hands of the saints. John Cotton, also a New England preacher, supported Cromwell in a public sermon on January 10, 1651, defending the regicide. Other New England clergy followed suit. However, Cromwell died in 1658, and his accomplishments that the colonists supported were in danger of being revoked. Many who had interpreted the events in England as heralding the start of the millennial reign were now doubting their interpretations. Cromwell's death indirectly contributed to the rise in witch hunts, both in colonial New England and also in England. The religious tension of New England was not only found in her churches, but in her very founding, combined with the quote-unquote heretical beliefs of the English Civil War and the witch hunting in East Anglian counties. Spread of the panic to New England was inevitable. I told you I'd bring up this guy again, and we will bring him up in the European witch trials. Matthew Hopkins had introduced the witch hunting techniques of searching and watching in England, which were soon adopted in New England. This only served to exacerbate suspicions of witchcraft in Massachusetts and Connecticut. Within the religious controversies of New England, witchcraft was a recurring topic, as was the second coming of Jesus. So, the New Englanders were primed for a witch panic to begin with. The English Civil War just lit the fuse. Thomas Hooker believed that many had immigrated to New England because they thought England's glory days were behind her. They also fully expected all the quote-unquote prophecies in the book of Revelation to be fulfilled in that generation. And yes, I will get to the book of Revelation. Colonists were convinced that to immigrate to the New World showed their willingness to battle the Antichrist. Preachers worried that this excitement could possibly lead to violence against those who did not want the saints to rule. To block potential violence, the clergy urged their congregations to continue covenanting, since this was seen as a monumental step to the last days. This atmosphere contributed to the rising witchcraft panic, as well as confusing heresy with witchcraft in the colonies. In England, witchcraft was not heresy, but a felony due to the Witchcraft Acts of 1562 and the harsher one of 1604. Even though English law classified witchcraft as a felony, it did not stop preachers in New England from invoking the devil and referring to his agents, aka witches, as heretics. Cotton Mather wrote that the devil dreaded the day that would usher in the millennial reign, and as a result, he turned his attention to leading the saints of New England astray. Am I the only one who thinks this is a bit narcissistic? He further claimed that the devil was angry because English Protestants and Puritans had established churches where there had previously been no churches. The devil was furious, he asserted, because they were bringing God to a godless part of the world. Because of this millennial excitement, some settlers took it upon themselves to make sure that the quote-unquote prophecies came true. An early sign of this can be found in the Antinomian controversy in 1637. During Anne Hutchinson's trial for heresy, she referred to Thomas Hooker's sermon, The Danger of Desertion, the core message of which was England's apostasy. Anne said that God had revealed to her that England's destruction would usher in the destruction of the Antichrist. Hutchinson took her beliefs from Spiritist or direct revelations from God, and she was not alone. However, these beliefs threatened the clergy. As a result of her trial, she was banished from the colony in 1637, and the church excommunicated her in 1638. Because the clergy felt threatened, they had to discredit her, and no surprise, they tried linking her to the devil to do this. The ideas she believed in were put forth as an ancient method used by Satan. It seems that Hutchinson was also a midwife, a favorite target for witchcraft accusations. The clergy asked Anne how she knew her revelations were from God or Satan, so she actually got accused, basically because she was a midwife and a spiritist, and I will get into the midwifery later. Hutchinson had a friend at this time, Mrs. Hawkins, who had been identified as a witch. Most likely, Mrs. Hawkins was a quote-unquote good witch or a cunning woman, one who used her knowledge for healing purposes. To New England ministers, this was worse because Satan captured the soul through tricking an unsuspecting person. 4 months later, in modern Newport, Rhode Island, Anne delivered a baby said to be quote-unquote monstrous by the clergy. Cotton Mathers clearly tried to assert this was punishment for her heresy and friendship with a witch, Mrs. Hawkins. John Clark, a physician and preacher of Rhode Island, examined the quote-unquote monstrous birth, refuting some of Cotton Mather's claims. Winthrop recorded that on the next lecture day, he publicly apologized, claiming that he'd gotten his information from Anne's husband. Way to throw somebody under the bus. Anne's supposed heretical beliefs did not stop with her banishment, continuing to spread through New England. In 1640, a young man had traveled to Hartford, named Mr. Collins, to be a teacher. His friend had decided to travel to Newport and supposedly came under the influence of Anne Hutchinson. Mr. Hales wrote to Mr. Collins about Anne's ideas, whereupon Mr. Collins left Hartford without leave and became enamored with Anne's quote-unquote heresies. Winthrop saw this conversion as a result of witchcraft. The fear surrounding this heresy was very real. Thomas Hooker reported that colonists had their weapons ready at all times. Thomas Weld wrote that clergy were called out on various points in their sermons, and they were even shot at. Well, friends, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like button, press the subscribe button, and if you want to know when I come out with new content, hit the bell next to the subscribe button. My Twitter, Discord, email, PayPal, website, and Teespring links are in the description, along with the source that I used for this video. Also, please leave comments in the comment section. Not only do I love hearing from you, but it also triggers the YouTube algorithm. Be reminded that I choose my comment of the week on my Saturday live streams from my edited content. Keep learning and searching for truth. Here are a few videos from my library. If you have not watched them yet, go ahead and watch them and tell me what you think. Until next time, friends, stay safe and goodbye.